Hello everybody, welcome to this tutorial if you don't want to stay a beginner in AutoCAD forever. So basically, this is an intermediate tutorial where you will learn very useful tips to keep improving your knowledge in this interesting and nice software. And in this part 1 we will focus on several topics. Let's have a look to them. Organize your working area. This is quite nice, as we can save amounts of time if things are prepared in advance. Annotative Objects. By using Annotative Dimensions, Text or Blocks, you can have those kind of objects with a specific size when you print your files, even if you have different scales on your viewports in the layout. And finally, you will learn to use the zoom command instead of just scrolling the mouse wheel. This is especially useful for large files, as there are functionalities to zoom specific areas, instead of being looking for a specific element for ages. Now we can start. Tips for having a good organization and save time. For me, it's a very important thing, as with spending a couple of hours organizing your layouts and creating personalized templates, you will save a lot of time in the future whenever you start a new project. Save space when using two screens. If you have two screens on your computer, you can use them as your benefit when working on AutoCAD. As you may be familiar, sometimes we have to open the Layer Properties panel, or open the External References palette, as well as the Properties window. All are using space on your screen. But, however, if you have a second screen, you can place there the palettes you often need in AutoCAD. For example, here I place these ones in a way that I can use them easily all the time. And this is important, the palettes are still on the same position if you open another file or if you close the AutoCAD program and come back just tomorrow. The things will look more organized, which is more pleasant to work. Create a personalized template for your projects. Let's suppose you need to create architecture projects often, and you need floor plan drawings, elevations or location plans. In addition, the scale and the paper size you use most of the time is the same. So, if that is your case, one good way to save time is create a personalized template with everything already set up. For example, look to this file where I draw this floor plan. The layers that I use here probably will be the same or similar in other projects. So, first, I can empty the workspace. Make sure that all layers are turned on and unlocked. Then go to Select All and press Delete. Now I can save this as a template, or saving as a normal DWG file would work fine. It's important that you choose a name that you will remember, for example, Project Architecture. OK, I can continue personalizing this file. For example, edit the units and precision, if I often use the same units in my projects. On the Layout tabs, I can save loads of time if I have several tabs for floor plans, elevations, sections, and so on. I can go to the Page Setup Manager to set the paper size. For example, A3. And also the printer if it's the same all the time. Then I can delete the objects here by selecting all. Make sure I am on the paper space. Now, I'm going to add a new layer called Title Block. And I'm going to draw on the paper a title that can be used on all my drawings. As soon as I finish the title block, I can create a viewport in this layout. I go to the Layout tab, then I click here to insert a rectangular viewport and draw it on the paper. After, I double-click inside to switch to the model space and set up a scale for it. Okay, suppose that most of the time I use the scale of 1/50. I click on it, so I don't need to set it all the time when I start a new project. Then I can rename this layout to ground floor. I double-click on it and I type the name that I want. Then, to create similar layouts, I can right-click here, then move or copy. I select ground floor and tick create a copy. Then I click on OK, and a new tab with the same configuration was created. So, in a project architecture, I can have all these tabs for floor plans, elevations, site plans, or location plans. And when I'm happy with the template, I can save it in my computer. On Save As, click on Drawing Template and save it with the name that you like. I can add a description here also and click on OK. Basically, with this, I can save a lot of time when I start a new project. Annotation in Autocad. In the next part, we will focus how to insert annotative text and dimensions. It's simple, we just need to play a bit with scales in the workspace. The text height that we insert for our text is actually the real size that will be printed. For example, in Layout 1, I want to write text in this viewport with a text height of 0.005 meters. This is the procedure. First, check out the scale of the viewport. Double-click inside here and I can see it as 1/200. Then, switch to the Model tab. On the Home tab, go to the Annotation panel, click on this arrow and switch the first tab to Annotative, or to a style that has this icon associated. Change the scale to fit a viewport scale. I click on 1/200. Create a single line text here. The command is up there. Click for the base point, and when you are prompted to insert the height, it says here, specify paper height. I am going to type 0.005 because in this drawing I'm using meters as units. Type the text and click in a different place. Then switch again to Layout 1 and here you have the text. If you print it and check it with a rule, it has to measure 5 millimeters. Now, let's go to another Layout tab, this one. This time I want to add a text to the viewport where I have the door. The scale here is 1/16. So, going back to the model space, let's find the door. I'm going to switch the scale to 1/16 and let's draw another text. This time, for the paper height, I type 0.01, 1 centimeter. Finally, I type the text. When I switch again to the Details tab, I can see the text there. Annotative Dimensions. This uses a similar logic as Annotative Text. We want to add this dimension line with the same 5 mm of text height on the paper. Go back to the model space. First, change the current layer to Dimensions. Then click on the arrow at the annotation panel, and then click on the second tab, which is the one for dimensions. Choose an annotative style, this one. Now we have to do a different step. We should edit the dimension style first. Click on this button. In this window, choose Annotative Meters and click on Modify. Here I go to the label text and specify 0.005 for the text height. Then in Symbols and Arrows, I can put the same measurement for the arrow line. Finally, I click on OK and close. To add the dimension line, I change the scale again to fit the viewport scale of 1/200. Click on this icon to draw a dimension line, and I'm going to place it here. When I finish, I can go to the Layout tab, and here you have the dimension line. Okay, it's too light in a white paper. That's no problem. I can click inside the viewport, go to the Layer Properties, and then in Dimensions, I can change the viewport color to a darker one. Now it's much better. Annotative blocks. Now let's check out how we can create annotative blocks. They can be useful for some kind of projects where we add symbols that can represent elements. For example, here, suppose we want to add a socket to this project. As it's a small element to be seen in the plan, we usually represent it as a symbol with a fixed size in order to be easily seen in drawings with different scales. In the example here, the socket has 5 mm of diameter in the paper. Back on the model space, I'm going to zoom in the object. And the first thing, I have to confirm it has the size that I desire. Oh, and don't forget to set the scale as 1/1, because we are drawing an annotative element. Otherwise, the block will be automatically scaled after being created, and I don't think that's what we want. So, as I want this distance as 5 mm, you can see that it's not. I have to use the command scale. So I type SC, select all the objects, press enter. I can choose this one as the base point, and then instead of a scale factor, I have to choose a reference. Then I select 2 points for my reference line, and then I specify the new length as 5 mm. Oh, and just to let you know, in this project the unit is millimeter. Now that our symbol is in the correct scale, I'm going to convert it to a block. I select all the objects and make sure they are on the layer 0. To create a block, I can use the alias B to open the block definition to create a block. I type the name for the block, for example, socket. Then we need to tick this box that says annotative. I click on OK, and I can choose the base point, and the block is finally done. The next step is to insert the block on the drawing, but in the scale of one of the viewports. It can be 1/50, 1/100, or 1/200. As you can see there. I decide to choose 1/50. So, on the model space, change the scale here to 1/50. Go to Insert Block, choose the socket, and I'm going to place it where it belongs. I hold this endpoint and put it there. If you go again to the layout mode, you can see it on the viewport with scale 1/50. So until here everything is correct. Then how can I add the other scales? If I access the properties of this block, I can see under Miscellaneous that this object is annotative, along with the annotative scale. However, I can easily add more scales here by just clicking on the button at the right. This is the Annotation Object scale, and I click on Add to add more scales. I choose 1 per 100 and 1 per 200 in this list. I click in OK, and here you have them. Then it should be done. So let's change the scale here, and you can see that the object is resized. What happened is that this block has now 3 different scales. When you look at the viewports, the socket symbol has exactly the same size in all of them. And then, if you print, you will notice that the symbol measures exactly 5 mm of width. Going back to the model space and select the socket, you can see the 3 scales when you have this button on the status bar turned on. Then let's put it just in another color to be easier to distinguish. Zoom. Now I'm going to talk a bit about zooming in Autocad. As you know, the most simple way of zooming, and the most common one, is to scroll the mouse wheel to reach the different parts of our project. However, for large projects, this can be a bit annoying to try to find specific areas. For that reason, there is the command zoom. Let's have a look at it. I type Z and press enter. Then, if you look at the command bar, you can see several ways to use zoom. The option by default is drawing a window on the workspace. For example, if I want to show the staircase division here, I draw a window covering that part, and here is the result. So, I find this especially useful when I want to focus something specific, as the zooming is more precise in this area. Another way of using zoom is using the option All. This sets the zoom to cover all the drawing in this file, including the position of the UCS coordinates in the corner here. Then, a similar option is the Zoom Extends. Very useful, by the way. I use it quite a lot. It shows all the objects covering the full screen. Here, the difference regarding Zoom All is that the position of the UCS coordinates can be hidden. If I click on Center, I pick a point to be placed in the center of the screen. Then, I specify the zoom height by drawing a line here. Simple. Now I'm going to show you something useful for larger projects. In this file, you can see all these drawings of a single architecture project. In this case, it's an exposition center. There are floor plans, sections, elevations, site plans, and so on. On these controls at the top left corner, click on this one that says Stop, and here you can switch to a different view of the workspace. However, the ones here are useful when I have 3D drawings. Look that I can't see anything interesting when I switch to the left or right views. This is because everything in this project is two-dimensional and was created in the top plane. On the view cube, you can understand a bit better the location of the views by default, especially when you click in a corner to switch to an isometric view. Okay, but what I want to do now is actually create a custom view to show up a specific part. Let's go to one of the floor plans located here, and to be more precise, I zoom with Window. Okay, now it's better. Then I go again to Top, and this time I click on View Manager. I'm going to create a new view here on New. And first I need to choose a name. It's going to be Esquema de Instalaciones Sanitarias. Yes, it's Spanish, but it means literally Sanitary Facility Scheme. Then I can put it into a category. It's empty, so I can create a new one. Let's name it Floor Plans. The view type, I keep it still, I don't change it. For the boundary, I choose the current display and click OK to close. Here OK again. And then I go back to top, and on custom views, I choose the one I just created, and you can see it zooming automatically. Okay, it's true that this floor plan was not very difficult to find. However, if you are working in a huge project with loads of drawings, sometimes you can stay looking for a specific detail for ages, like those books where you need to find Waldo. So, now we want to zoom up to these objects. But this time let's do it a bit different. Go again to the View Manager, create a new view called Detail 1 and put it into a new category, Details. And in boundary this time I'm going to define a view window. I click in this button, then I search for the part that I want, I told you, it's hard. Where are they? Ah, here. So, make a window in the place where I want to zoom. I press enter when I'm ready, and you can see a preview on the View Manager. I click OK to confirm it and close. So, for the next time I want to go to the Detail 1, it's much faster. Charan! So, it looks like that part 1 of this tutorial reached its end. Hope you enjoyed it, and don't forget to subscribe to Cat in Black, and let's meet again on the next video. See you then, and of course, thank you very much for watching.